Hi, my name is Annie Griebie, and I've been working this summer with Dr. Immelman in the psychology department through his research program in the psychology of politics, titled The Unit for the Study of Personality in Politics. In addition to a study on the personality profile and leadership style of President Donald Trump, we also co-authored a paper titled The Political Personality of 2020 Democratic Presidential Nominee Joe Biden. This paper presents the results of an indirect assessment of the personality of former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, Democratic nominee in the 2020 U.S. presidential election, from the conceptual perspective of personologist Theodore Millon. The data we collected was synthesized into a personality profile using the method of profiling Dr. Immelman created based on Theodore Millon's theory of personality. His tool, titled the Millon Inventory of Diagnostic Criteria, the MIDC, provides a comprehensive review of Millon's personological model and encompasses 8 attribute domains of behavior. Attribute A is expressive behavior, which is how the person typically appears to others. Attribute B is interpersonal conduct, which is how the individual usually interacts with other people. Attribute C is cognitive style, which is how the person thinks. Attribute D is the individual's typical mood. And finally, attribute E is the person's self-image, which is how the person views themselves. Using this method, once you determine the primary personality traits for an individual, you can also infer their regulatory mechanisms, object representations, and morphologic organization, but these last 3 attribute domains are left out of the assessment because they're difficult to assess from a distance and instead can be inferred. This model divides personality into 12 scales. Each scale is further broken down into 2 or 3 subcategories that span the possible manifestations from a normal adaptive variant at level A to a more extreme and likely maladaptive variant at level C. When these 12 scales are combined with the different attribute domains, the tool yields 34 normal and maladaptive personality classifications. In our study, psychodiagnostically relevant data were collected from biographical sources and media reports of Biden's behavior during the 2008 and 2020 election cycles. Based on the amount and quality of the psychodiagnostic data we collected, we categorized each item in the MIDC on a spectrum from negative to affirmative, with affirmative being a present item. The total affirmative and equivocal affirmative designations for each scale were totaled to yield a final scoresheet profile for Joe Biden as the Democratic presidential nominee. We found between 4 and 7 affirmative diagnostic criteria for each of the 5 attributes, with a mean of 5.2 and a standard deviation of 1. We found the most affirmative data for the attribute domain of self-image, followed in turn by equal amounts of affirmative data for expressive behavior, interpersonal conduct, and cognitive style. This pattern is a bit unusual and could be attributed to the fact that Biden is quite extroverted and open, consequently revealing more about his self-perception than the typical politician. The second table shows a breakdown of Joe Biden's scale totals and emphasizes the difference between the present affirmative designations in the lower bound column and the possible equivocal affirmative designations in the upper bound column. Our goal using the MIDC is to find out what the primary personality patterns are for the individual using biographical information. Once those patterns are established, we use those to better understand the person and how the person might react in certain situations. Joe Biden's primary personality pattern was revealed to be an elevated level of the Scale 3 outgoing pattern, infused with secondary features of the Scale 4 accommodating pattern and subsidiary features of the Scale 2 ambitious pattern. This graph is helpful in understanding how Biden's personality patterns manifest themselves in his current behavior and potential leadership behavior. The line with closed circles represents the affirmative scale totals, and the line with diamonds represents the equivocal affirmative scale totals. You can see Biden's primary outgoing personality pattern is present within the prominent level. There is equivocal evidence his secondary accommodating pattern also exists within the prominent level. Biden's primary outgoing personality pattern is reflected in his tendency to be confident in his social skills and ability to charm others. He possesses a sociable personal style that makes others like him. As a colorful attention seeker, Biden seems to enjoy being the center of social events. He often does well interacting with the public, which is helpful while campaigning. This skill allows him to be adept at rallying others. Biden's outgoing personality pattern makes him talkative and dramatic and able to influence those around him. But his extroversion can lead him to act impulsively, as outgoing individuals are likely to become bored when faced with ordinary and mundane tasks. Biden's behavior is also influenced by a secondary accommodating pattern. His agreeable and conciliatory personality is manifest in his tendency to be relatively undemanding, uncritical, and gracious. Biden's accommodating pattern was well suited to his role as vice president, as it led him to be reliable and cooperative. He is willing to reconcile differences to achieve peaceable solutions and is willing to concede when necessary. Biden's accommodating pattern is reflected in his generally even-tempered mood and participatory behavior. But his accommodating pattern of behavior could ultimately cause Biden to look to others, such as his vice president or other members of his administration, to provide authority, leadership, and direction when faced with difficult or stressful situations. Biden's subsidiary ambitious pattern has the potential to help him assume his leadership role should he be elected president, as it can help him to remain confident and self-assured. Though only a subsidiary pattern, Biden's ambitious personality is reflected in his tendency to be competitive and optimistic in the face of adversity. Personality refers to the temporally stable and cross-situationally consistent ways people think, act, feel, and relate to others in the social world. This means each individual's unique personality will consistently and predictably guide their perception and interaction with the world around them. Behavior is the function of the person interacting with the situation, so at times a specific situation may exert more influence upon an individual's behavior than their underlying personality traits. Thus, an individual's personality is more consistent across their lifespan rather than in different situations, and trait stability actually increases across the lifespan. So, because Joe Biden is 77 years old, we can expect his personality traits to be very stable, which is conducive to predicting his leadership style and behavior. In conclusion, Joe Biden's primary personality pattern was found to be outgoing, gregarious, complemented by secondary, accommodating, cooperative, bordering on agreeable, and ambitious, confident patterns. The prominence of the outgoing pattern in conjunction with the distinctive accommodating pattern in his overall personality configuration is indicative of the conciliatory extrovert subtype. This personality composite forms the personological substrate for strong affiliation motives. These individuals are driven to seek approval. They want others to like them and view them as a friend or ally. To achieve that motivational goal, they often compliment, praise, or flatter others, presenting an overall image of goodwill. When disagreements occur, they attempt to smooth things over, sometimes at the cost of conceding. Leaders with Biden's personality profile are likely to exhibit an interpersonal leadership style, characterized by flexibility, compromise, and an emphasis on teamwork. The general tenor of a Biden presidency will likely be conciliatory, which could render a prospective President Biden vulnerable to manipulation by pressure groups, and has the potential to blunt the competitive edge of the United States in negotiations or conflicts with foreign adversaries. The full-text research paper associated with this presentation, as well as papers associated with numerous other studies conducted through the Unit for the Study of Personality and Politics, including a study on the personality profile and leadership style of U.S. President Donald J. Trump in office, can be found on the CSB-SJU Digital Commons website and on the Unit for the Study of Personality and Politics website if you're interested in learning more. Thank you.